Alright, so welcome back to Jim Bob's Garden. Um, Today what we're going to talk about is making a garden. Right now we got the COVID-19 thing going on, and a lot of people are concerned about food. I know that food banks are running out of food. I know that there's a lot of issues and concerns right now. We're in a period of flux and uncertainty like we haven't seen in a very long time, if ever. So what I want to talk to you about is just making a basic garden. All right. The tools you need to do this is this. That's it. One shovel. Yes, there are a lot of other tools that will make it easier. There's a lot of other things you can do, but primarily the only thing you really got to have is some sort of digging tool. You can use a shovel. You can use a pick, but obviously a shovel is going to be the best tool to have. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to build you a 4 foot by 8 foot garden, or I'm sorry, 4 foot by about 10 foot garden. I'm not going to use measuring tools. I'm going to use my feet because they're about a foot long. The reason for a 4 by however long garden is that you don't have to walk on the garden. You can reach into the garden and get to the entire garden if it's 4 feet wide. And what that allows you to do is basically pack that garden full of more vegetables. So I would recommend 4 foot strips in a garden. Now, there are those of you who obviously can't do this because you live in an apartment or what have you. I'll address that on another video. I'll show you some of the things you can do with pots and so forth. Others, you're renting a house and you're not sure whether or not you'll be able to dig a garden without irritating your landlord. I will tell you that most landlords are not going to have a problem with it. Those that are, just explain to them if you are having an issue that when you leave, you will put down sod. Sod costs like $2 for a 2 by 2 square. So you're talking, if you do 10 foot long, 20 pieces, you're talking $40 to put sod back down. All right, not really a big thing. I know $40 is a lot of money, but if you save it up, it shouldn't be an issue. And that's part of what I want to talk to you as well. Why are we building a garden if I can't feed my entire family all the time out of a small garden? You can't. At least not to start with. You can, if you expand your operation and get a little bigger, you can grow enough food to actually feed your family. The thing is, what I'm talking about is reducing your food bill. You can knock it down to where you're not paying as much. If you can save $20 a week and take that money and put it away over the course of a year, you'll have put away $1,000. And it doesn't seem like a lot, $20 a week, but it stacks up. And if you can buy enough or grow enough veggies and various other things to feed your family with, that extra savings, if you put it away, would go a long ways towards having backup for those times when you might lose your job due to some sort of eventuality like the pandemic we're having here. We are probably looking at another wave coming in November. And if you can save enough money between here and there on your grocery bills and actually put that money in a bank, if you could save $40 a week, it'll give you that $1,000 as a cushion for when this comes back again and has probably the same kind of implications, if not worse, on the next go-around. So, with that being said, and even, you don't have to do this for a pandemic or for coronavirus. You want to just grow a garden. Let me show you how the basic garden is made. I've done this in every house that I've lived in pretty much since, since way back when. And I've always done it the same way. What I do is I just pick a spot where I think there's a lot of sun. Now here you'll notice I'm actually doing it in the shade. I don't have a good shade garden. I have plenty of garden over here. You all have seen it. Let me show you just so you know what I have. I have built a very large garden here, so I have plenty of space to grow. This is not for me though, this is for you. So what I don't have, hang on, let me get back where I need to be here. Aha. All right. So what I don't have is a shade garden. And here in Florida, having shade is critical. So I picked this spot here because it's right at noon, and so I have gotten most of the morning sun hits this spot. All right, and then as the day goes on, This is a crepe myrtle tree up above me, and during the summer it leaves out real nice, puts up some real pretty flowers, but it'll shade this spot so that I don't get that real harsh afternoon sun that we get here in the summer times. So that will hopefully help to allow me to grow some things that I couldn't otherwise grow. And then in the wintertime, I should also be able to use this plot because as the fall comes around, the crepe myrtle tree loses all its leaves and just becomes sticks, and the sun will shine through, and I'll still be able to get some sun that way. It's a great tree to have, by the way, if you're looking for a good Florida shady spot during the summer, and then something that will open up for you in the wintertime. So with that being said, I'm going to lay it out. Now, how you lay this out doesn't matter. What I'm going to do, because I haven't, is I'm going to grab a block and some sticks that I have. And one of the things about these sticks, a while back, I took some sticks and I wrapped some string around them. All right, you can see the string there. And that's not necessary, but it is handy. What it does is it allows you to lay out a somewhat straight spot. And this is along the edge of my property line. So I'm going to kind of go about here. I'm going to take that stick and hopefully drive this down into the ground. Well, that'll hold. Remember, I just need to lay it out. It doesn't have to be, it's not a permanent thing by any means. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to step off about 4 feet. My feet are about a foot long, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Now when I say 4 feet, it doesn't have to be exactly 4 feet. But this gives you an idea of about where you want your lines to be. All right. First off, shoveling is really difficult to do in a straight line, as you will see here in a second. All right, now one of the other things too, when you lay it out, like I've got the tree there, you need to get far enough away from the tree where you're not going to be constantly digging through roots. All right, so then I'm going to take this out about 12 feet. Up, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All right, so we're going to go about here, and then I'm going to go along my property line thereabouts. So we're going to go to about here. Now you're saying, well, what kind of dirt do I need? How do I know if I've got good dirt? Well, you don't. But I will tell you that if you have grass growing, you can probably get vegetables to grow. And then as we go along, we're going to improve the soil to make it better. So now this is going to be in the way, which is all right. We'll leave this over here for now. And let's see, right about where I want it. We're just going to eyeball it, kind of, sort of. That looks pretty good. So we're going to go 4 feet this way. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh man, I forgot my stick. Now, the reason I'm going 4 by 12 is that gives you just about 50 square feet of garden. I want to say a good rule of thumb to be able to produce a decent amount of vegetables for your family and to help you through is, normally speaking, about 100 square feet, which I have done the 100 square foot garden before. Now, you don't have to make this perfectly square, but it's kind of, I don't want to say, it's a little more aesthetically pleasing if it is square, or close to. All right, So now I got my garden laid out. Then it's just a process of digging. Now, if you have a rototiller, I can knock this job out in about 10 minutes. A little more labor intensive with a shovel. And once again, what we're trying to do here is I'm trying to break up the dirt. I'm going to have grass, and normally speaking, I would do something called double digging, but I'm not going to go into that right now. And this is for your basic, I need to get some food growing today, garden. So we're going to go down here, start digging. All right, now once you get that first shovel, then the second shovel is usually a lot easier. Take it, grind it, flip it. And you can see I'm running into roots because I got trees, which is going to be an issue, but not a huge issue, particularly for me, as I have tools. Now, how deep do you want to go? A lot depends on what you're going to grow, but if you can, you want to go at least a shovelful. All right, so I'm going to stop talking and start digging, and then we'll time this out and let you know about how long it took. All right, so you may have noticed that the shadows are a little bit longer due to some technological difficulties. Yeah, you gotta remember to charge up the microphones. At any rate, so we're back, and I have gone through and I've double dug this all out with just a shovel. Then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a rake and I'm gonna rake it out. It's not something you gotta do. You can do it with your feet, but I wanna get this nice and smooth for my garden. So let me knock that out real quick. So when you go to raking it out, you just want to kind of smooth things out. There's a couple reasons for that. One, it makes it easier to plant. Two, you get a lot of the the vegetative stuff that will continue to grow out, hopefully. But we'll get more of that out as we go along. Now, don't get me wrong, you're going to have some weeds in this kind of garden, particularly the first year. So don't worry too much about it if you do. The other thing about raking is you smooth it out so that when it rains, particularly if you get more clay soil than I have, you get rain to kind of flow evenly across, so you don't have a lot of problems with some spots getting wet and others staying dry. So I'm also going to pull some of this up, give me a little excess dirt, because I like to buy, well, I need dirt every so often, and I'll buy garden soil and then mix it with my soil. Why? Because I'm cheap. It thins it out a little bit and gives me more bang for my buck, I guess. Now, this doesn't have to be completely smooth, but you do want to get it to the point where, like I said, you can count on rain falling across it evenly, or sprinklers, or sprinklers as the case may be. I have a sprinkler system right here. I'll pull this up down here at the end, and I'll use some of this later on. If I don't trip and fall, break my neck. If I hurt myself out here, you guys will call 911, right? Thanks, I appreciate that. Alright, you can kind of see a little better shape to it. Looks more like a garden. Now, don't sweat it too much if you got a little bit of stuff sticking up. Got some weeds going on. I'll pull a lot of them. You're going to have weeds in your garden. You're going to have grass in your garden. One of the things about loosening it up like this, hopefully it'll be easier to pull as you go along. Not something that you're ever going to be able to beat, particularly along here where I've got grass and various other things growing along the edges. They're going to creep in. Just part of the deal. Ow. Alright, so even though I took a break, I don't know, a couple hours. Total time, prep time for a garden this size, probably about half an hour. Excuse the airplane, sorry. Now, like I said before, can you grow enough food in the garden this size to feed a family? No. But you can supplement the food in a family. You can also make a bigger garden. You can make multiple gardens. Once again, don't do it in the shade unless you're someplace like Florida where it gets really hot. You know, my preference, my recommendation to you would be a north-south run. That way you can run rows along the length, and you'll still get sun as the sun comes up and goes across. You'll get sun along your rows. A garden like this, if you cannot do it north and south, this is almost east and west, you can make shorter rows this way if you want. All right, and make it all work out. That's up to you. I really think this is something everybody should try and do. They used to call it a victory garden back in World War II days. I think it's your civic responsibility, your duty as a citizen of whatever country you might be from, but particularly the U.S., which I am, you know, it's near and dear to my heart. I highly recommend that you grow a garden and try and grow something for yourself so that you don't have to rely upon the supply system to feed you. We'll talk more later on about what to put in the garden, and we'll talk more about storage and such and so forth. But growing a garden, First off, I think it's your right. So anytime somebody tells you you can't, I would challenge them on that. And second off, I think it's your responsibility. I think that, like I said, the Victory Garden was a great idea back in the day, and I think it applies even more so now. So please, grow something, feed your family. In the next video I'll do, we'll talk about what to put in the garden. All right, but thanks once again for stopping by. Like, subscribe, and let me know what you think. Why should you grow a garden? Well, in my opinion, in uncertain times, a certain food source is really good to have. We got some concerns about what's coming and what's happened, and the coronavirus should be coming back again, even though it hasn't completely left. We should probably see another round in November. And if you go back to the Spanish flu days, Spanish flu, the second round, was a lot worse than the first. That's everything I'm hearing. So should you panic? No. Should you prepare? Yes. Preparing is never a bad thing. All right. So at any rate, I would consider it, me personally, your civic duty, your responsibility as a citizen of the United States or any other country, Germany, Denmark, Russia, wherever you happen to live. It really is your responsibility or a civic duty to produce food of your own, wherever possible. Get some fruit trees, plant some fruit trees, grow a garden. Do what you can to take the load off of the system so that you don't have to worry about other people feeding you. Once again, zombies are not coming. This is not the end of the world. It's not a time to panic, but it is a time to think about what you're going to do. What I would still recommend to all of you is to give it a shot, get it started, and see how it goes. I don't have a green thumb. I have determination. I keep trying until it works. I'm getting better at it with more practice, and you will too. So grow a garden, help yourself out, help the community out, and maybe even grow enough to where you can pass it off to your friends. I give out vegetables all the time to people around the neighborhood. Highly recommend it. I guess that's all there is really to say. Grow something. Feed yourself, feed your family, and you won't have to have somebody else do it for you. All right, thanks once again for stopping by. Like, subscribe, and let me know what you think. All right, let's do that shit again.